Imagine a life where you are no longer swayed by distractions, where your mind is calm, your goals are clear, and you possess an unshakable discipline to achieve everything you've ever wanted. This state of being, this ultimate level of focus and clarity, is what I call monk mode. It's not just a momentary phase, it's a powerful way of living. Many of the world's greatest thinkers, from ancient philosophers to modern self-help gurus, have tapped into this mode. It's a state that monks, philosophers, and successful people across the globe have used to harness their inner potential. Today, I'm going to take you on a journey to discover how you can activate your own monk mode, drawing from the best personal development and success ideas found in history's greatest books and philosophies. By the end of this script, you'll be armed with tools, insights, and actionable steps to transform your life. You'll be able to cut through the noise, eliminate distractions, and walk a path of growth, productivity, and self-mastery. Are you ready to begin your journey into monk mode? Let's get started. Our story begins with a man named David. He was like many of us, overwhelmed by the constant demands of modern life. Between his job, social media, and endless notifications, his mind was never at peace. He felt scattered, exhausted, and unproductive. Despite his ambition, he never seemed to reach his goals. One day, after missing an important deadline at work, David found himself scrolling aimlessly through his phone, filled with guilt and frustration. That's when he stumbled upon a quote from the philosopher Seneca. "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." The words hit him hard. He realized that his biggest problem wasn't a lack of time. It was how he was spending it. This moment was David's awakening. He realized that to achieve his goals, he needed to change how he approached life. He needed focus, discipline, and clarity. He needed to go into monk mode. What is monk mode? Monk mode is a period of intense focus and discipline, where you eliminate distractions and focus solely on your personal growth and goals. It's a time when you retreat inward, like a monk, to sharpen your mind, body, and spirit. It's not about religious devotion, but about adopting the disciplined, minimalist lifestyle that monks are known for. It's a mindset of total dedication to your purpose. David made a decision that day. He would go into monk mode. But how exactly would he do that? What would it take to strip away distractions and live with focus and purpose? David's first step was to develop a new mindset. He had to shift from being reactive to being proactive. He remembered reading Carol Dweck's book Mindset, where she talked about the importance of a growth mindset, the belief that you can improve through effort and learning. David realized that to succeed in monk mode, he needed to adopt this growth mindset. He had to believe that he could change, no matter how chaotic his life felt. With this new perspective, he could view his failures as opportunities to learn rather than as defeats. Key strategies to build a monk mode mindset. 1. Embrace the growth mindset. Acknowledge that you can always improve. This shift helps you stay resilient in the face of setbacks. 2. Cultivate patience. In monk mode, success won't happen overnight. It's a slow, deliberate process that requires time. 3. Let go of the ego. In monk mode, you let go of superficial concerns, what others think of you, how many likes you get, or keeping up with trends. Your focus is internal, not external. With his mindset set, David moved to the next phase, creating a vision for his journey into monk mode. One of the core principles of monk mode is having a clear vision. Without a vision, it's easy to get lost. David realized that his life had been full of noise, busyness without direction. He needed to define exactly what he wanted to achieve. Inspired by Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, David followed the principle of beginning with the end in mind. He sat down with a journal and wrote out his goals, both long-term and short-term. He asked himself tough questions. What kind of life do I want to live? What's my purpose? What are the most important things I want to accomplish? David discovered that his vision was simple. He wanted to excel in his career, improve his health, and deepen his relationships. But to do that, he needed to eliminate the distractions that had been pulling him away from these goals. Tips for defining your vision in monk mode. Write it down. There's power in putting your goals on paper. It solidifies your intentions. Prioritize. Decide what's truly important in your life. Monk mode is about focusing on what matters most and letting go of the rest. Review regularly. Keep your vision in front of you. As you progress, you may need to adjust it. With his goals clear, David was ready to dive deeper into the mechanics of monk mode. He would now learn the power of daily habits. David knew that achieving his vision wouldn't happen by accident. It would require deliberate action every single day. He remembered reading Atomic Habits by James Clear, where Clear argued that small, consistent habits could lead to remarkable transformations over time. David decided that he needed to build habits that would support his journey into monk mode. He started small, waking up an hour earlier to meditate, journaling about his goals, and dedicating time to deep work. The habit loop. Clear describes habits as a cycle: cue, routine, and reward. David identified the cues that triggered his bad habits, such as checking his phone first thing in the morning, and replaced them with productive habits. Instead of reaching for his phone, he reached for his journal. Instead of browsing social media, he meditated. Keystone habits. David also learned the importance of keystone habits, habits that have a ripple effect on other areas of your life. He focused on a few keystone habits, such as daily meditation. This practice helped him calm his mind and stay centered throughout the day. Physical exercise. Working out not only improved his health, but also gave him the energy and discipline to tackle other tasks. Journaling. Writing down his thoughts helped him stay focused on his goals and track his progress. As David built these habits, he found that his mind became clearer, his energy levels higher, and his productivity skyrocketed. But habits weren't enough. David had to learn how to stay focused amidst the constant distractions of modern life. One of the biggest challenges David faced in monk mode was the sheer number of distractions that pulled him away from his goals. Between work emails, social media notifications, and endless streaming options, staying focused was a constant battle. David turned to Cal Newport's book Deep Work for guidance. Newport argues that to produce meaningful work, you need long periods of uninterrupted focus. Shallow work, tasks like answering emails and attending meetings, should be minimized, while deep work should be prioritized. Strategies to eliminate distractions. 1. Time blocking. David started scheduling blocks of time dedicated solely to his most important tasks. During these blocks, he turned off his phone, closed unnecessary tabs, and focused entirely on his work. 2. Digital detox. Inspired by Newport's digital minimalism, David took a step further by removing social media apps from his phone and setting strict limits on his screen time. 3. Creating a sacred space. David created a workspace that was free from distractions. He set up his desk with only the essentials, a notebook, a pen, and his laptop, so he could concentrate on his tasks. As David practiced deep work and reduced distractions, he noticed something incredible. He was able to get more done in a few hours than he had in entire days before. His focus sharpened and his productivity soared. But staying in monk mode also required emotional resilience. As David deepened his commitment to monk mode, he realized that it wasn't just about managing time and tasks, it was also about mastering his emotions. He encountered moments of doubt, frustration, and fatigue. During these times, he was tempted to return to his old habits, to give up on monk mode. But David remembered the teachings of the Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius, who wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Practicing emotional intelligence. David began working on his emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize and manage his emotions. He learned to respond to challenges with calmness and clarity, rather than reacting impulsively. When he felt overwhelmed, he used techniques like mindful breathing. A few minutes of focused breathing helped him regain control of his emotions. Self-reflection. Journaling about his emotional state helped him understand the root of his frustrations, allowing him to manage them more effectively. David also started practicing gratitude. Something he had learned from The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. By focusing on what he was thankful for, he was able to shift his mindset from one of scarcity to one of abundance. Gratitude became an anchor that kept him grounded during challenging times. Every morning before beginning his day, David would write down 3 things he was grateful for. This simple practice kept him aligned with the present, instead of worrying about the future or regretting the past. Reframing setbacks as growth opportunities. Another essential aspect of emotional mastery in monk mode is learning to reframe setbacks. Inspired by the Stoic idea that the obstacle is the way, David began seeing every challenge as an opportunity for growth. Whether it was a missed deadline or a personal disappointment, he reframed these moments as stepping stones toward improvement. He asked himself, "What can I learn from this? How will this make me better?" By mastering his emotions, David stayed resilient in monk mode. He knew that every emotional wave, whether frustration, boredom, or anxiety, was temporary. With this understanding, he could ride out any storm without breaking his focus. But emotions were only one part of the equation. To stay in monk mode long-term, David had to master his time. As David's journey into monk mode continued, he realized that time was his most valuable asset. If he didn't control his time, it would control him. Inspired by The One Thing by Gary Keller, David learned that the key to success wasn't doing more, it was doing less but focusing on what mattered most. The power of prioritization. David began by identifying his most important task for each day. This was the one task that, if completed, would make the biggest impact on his goals. He scheduled this task first thing in the morning when his energy and focus were at their peak. He also embraced time blocking, a technique where he dedicated specific blocks of time to different tasks. For example, morning, deep work midday, physical exercise and self-care afternoon, shallow work evening, reflection and personal development. By time blocking his day, David ensured that he was giving his attention to the things that mattered most, rather than reacting to whatever came his way. The Eisenhower Matrix, deciding what's urgent versus important. To further master his time, David adopted the Eisenhower Matrix, a decision-making tool that helps prioritize tasks based on urgency and importance. He began classifying his tasks into 4 categories. 1. Urgent and important, tasks that require immediate attention. 2. Important but not urgent, tasks that are critical for long-term success. 3. Urgent but not important, tasks that need to be done but don't move the needle. 4. Neither urgent nor important, distractions and time wasters. By focusing on tasks that were important but not urgent, David was able to stay proactive, working on things that aligned with his long-term vision. He delegated or eliminated tasks that were not essential, freeing up more time for what truly mattered. As David became more disciplined with his time, he noticed that another aspect of monk mode began to emerge: silence and solitude. Just like monks retreat to quiet spaces for reflection, David realized that he needed regular periods of stillness to reconnect with his inner self. The magic of silence. David learned from the book Stillness is the Key by Ryan Holiday that many of the world's greatest thinkers and leaders carved out time for silence and solitude. Silence allows the mind to rest, recharge, and process thoughts on a deeper level. David started incorporating moments of silence into his daily routine. Whether it was 10 minutes of mindful meditation in the morning or a quiet walk in nature during his lunch break, these moments of stillness became essential to his success in monk mode. In silence, David found clarity. It was in these quiet moments that he would reflect on his progress, assess whether he was still on track, and make decisions about the direction of his life. The solitude of monk mode also requires a level of intentional solitude. This doesn't mean isolating yourself from the world completely, but carving out time for deep, undisturbed focus and reflection. David found that by spending more time alone, without the distractions of social interactions, he could focus more deeply on his personal growth and self-improvement. David embraced solitude as a powerful tool. He wasn't afraid of being alone. In fact, he welcomed it. During these times, he would read books on philosophy, write in his journal, and think deeply about his life's purpose. Solitude became a source of strength and creativity, allowing him to recharge and return to his work with renewed focus. Monk mode isn't just about mastering the mind, it's about mastering the body too. David knew that to achieve his goals, he needed the energy and stamina that come from physical fitness. He turned to ancient wisdom from the East, particularly the teachings found in the practice of yoga and martial arts, as well as modern principles of health and fitness. Daily movement. David incorporated daily movement into his monk mode practice. Whether it was a morning yoga session or a run around the park, he made sure to engage in some form of physical activity every day. He was inspired by the idea of mind-body connection, the belief that the health of the body directly impacts the health of the mind. As his body grew stronger, so did his mind. Exercise became not just a way to stay fit, but a form of moving meditation. During his workouts, David's mind was clear, focused, and present. Nutrition and monk mode along with exercise. David also knew that what he put into his body mattered. He simplified his diet, opting for clean, whole foods that fueled his body and mind. Drawing inspiration from The Blue Zones by Dan Buettner, which examines the diets of the longest living people on Earth. David adopted a diet rich in vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins. By eating mindfully and fueling his body with nutritious foods, he ensured that he had the energy and mental clarity to sustain monk mode. The next key to David's success in monk mode was the practice of meditation. Inspired by both Eastern and Western teachings, David turned to meditation as a way to calm his mind, sharpen his focus, and connect with his inner self. Meditation for clarity. David started with simple breathing exercises, focusing on his breath for just 5 minutes a day. As he became more comfortable with the practice, he increased the time and began incorporating mindfulness meditation, where he would observe his thoughts without judgment. The practice of mindfulness taught David to be fully present in the moment, both during meditation and throughout his day. He noticed that by being mindful, he was less reactive to stressful situations and more in control of his emotions. Meditation became his anchor, keeping him grounded amidst the chaos of daily life. The role of reflection. David also practiced self-reflection as part of his meditation routine. After each meditation session, he would spend a few minutes reflecting on his thoughts, feelings, and progress in monk mode. This reflection allowed him to course correct and ensure that he was always aligned with his goals. As David's meditation practice deepened, so did his sense of inner peace and clarity. He found that the more he meditated, the easier it became to maintain his focus and discipline throughout the day. Monk mode isn't just about doing, it's also about learning. David knew that to become the best version of himself, he needed to constantly seek new knowledge and insights. He embraced the idea of lifelong learning, drawing inspiration from the great philosophers, business leaders, and thinkers of the past and present. Reading for growth. David set a goal to read at least one book every month, focusing on topics that would expand his mind and challenge his thinking. He read books on personal development, philosophy, business, and psychology. Some of the key books that shaped his journey included The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Each book provided new insights that helped David grow mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Reading became a non-negotiable part of his monk mode practice. Through books, David connected with some of the greatest minds in history, allowing their wisdom to guide his own journey. After several months in monk mode, David felt more focused and disciplined than ever. But he also knew that the journey wasn't over. Monk mode isn't a destination, it's a way of life. To sustain this mode long-term, David implemented 2 key strategies: consistency and accountability. The power of consistency was David's secret weapon. He realized that success in monk mode wasn't about grand gestures or sudden, massive changes. It was about showing up every single day, doing the work, and staying committed to the process even when motivation faded. Consistency built momentum, and momentum made it easier to stay in monk mode long-term. How David stayed consistent. 1. Rituals and routines. David anchored his day with a morning and evening routine. Every morning, he started with meditation, journaling, and his most important task. Every evening, he ended the day by reflecting on his progress and planning for the next. These routines kept him grounded and focused. 2. Habit stacking. Inspired by Atomic Habits, David used habit stacking to build new behaviors onto existing ones. For example, after his morning meditation, he would automatically move into journaling. After completing his deep work session, he would exercise. This made his habits automatic, requiring less mental effort to maintain them. 3. Tracking progress. David kept a habit tracker to mark off each day he completed his monk mode practices. By visually seeing his streaks, he felt a sense of accomplishment, which motivated him to keep going. While consistency was crucial, David also knew the importance of accountability. Going through monk mode alone was tough, especially when life got hard. To stay on track, David sought out support from others who shared his commitment to growth and focus. The power of a mastermind group. David remembered the concept of a mastermind group from Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. The idea was simple. Surround yourself with like-minded individuals who are striving for similar goals and hold each other accountable. David formed a small group of friends and colleagues who were also interested in personal development. They met once a week to share their progress, discuss challenges, and encourage each other. This mastermind group became a powerful source of accountability. Knowing that he had to report his progress to the group kept David motivated. He didn't want to show up empty-handed, so he made sure he was always moving forward, even on the days when it felt hard to do so. Finding a mentor in addition to his mastermind group, David sought out a mentor, someone who had already achieved the level of success and discipline he aspired to. His mentor gave him guidance, offered feedback, and challenged him to push beyond his comfort zone. Having someone to look up to kept David focused on his long-term vision. As David continued his journey in monk mode, he realized that the path to success wasn't about adding more to his life. It was about subtracting the unnecessary. Inspired by the philosophy of minimalism, David began to simplify his life in every area. Decluttering the physical space, David started by decluttering his environment. He had read The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo, and her message was clear: a cluttered space leads to a cluttered mind. David went through his home, removing anything that didn't serve a clear purpose or bring him joy. By simplifying his physical surroundings, he created a space that fostered focus and calmness. Digital minimalism. Next, David tackled his digital life. Following the principles from Cal Newport's digital minimalism, David drastically reduced his time spent on screens. He removed unnecessary apps from his phone, limited his social media use to 30 minutes a day, and unsubscribed from distracting emails and notifications. This digital decluttering allowed David to reclaim hours of his day that had previously been lost to mindless scrolling. The power of fewer commitments. David also learned to say no more often. Instead of spreading himself thin by trying to do everything, he focused only on the commitments that aligned with his monk mode goals. By simplifying his schedule, he freed up time for deep work, reflection, and personal growth. A crucial lesson David learned during his time in monk mode was the art of letting go. He realized that much of his stress and anxiety came from holding on to things that were beyond his control. By embracing this truth, David found freedom, both mentally and emotionally. Letting go of control. David had always been a bit of a perfectionist, trying to control every aspect of his life. But after reading The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, he learned that control is often an illusion. The only thing he could truly control was his response to events, not the events themselves. David began to practice acceptance. He accepted the present moment for what it was, without wishing it were different. This shift in mindset allowed David to stay calm and focused, even when things didn't go according to plan. Instead of wasting energy on things he couldn't change, he redirected that energy toward things he could influence: his actions, his mindset, and his habits. Letting go of the past. David also realized that much of his mental clutter came from dwelling on the past. Old regrets, mistakes, and failures weighed heavily on his mind, holding him back from fully embracing monk mode. But he learned from Stoicism and Viktor Frankl's man's search for meaning that the past is gone, and the only way forward is through forgiveness, forgiving himself for his past mistakes and letting go of the emotional baggage that came with them. This practice of letting go created a sense of inner peace. David no longer carried the weight of his past. Instead, he focused on the present and future, knowing that each day was a new opportunity to grow. As David's time in monk mode continued, he began to think about the legacy he wanted to leave behind. Personal growth was important, but he realized that true fulfillment came from making a positive impact on others. David drew inspiration from The Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren, which emphasized that we find meaning not just in personal success, but in serving others. Monk mode wasn't just about becoming the best version of himself. It was about using his newfound skills and discipline to uplift others. Mentoring and teaching. David began to share his journey with others. He mentored younger colleagues at work, offering guidance and advice on productivity, focus, and personal development. He also started writing blog posts about his experience in monk mode, hoping to inspire others to take a similar path. By giving back, David found deeper meaning in his journey. The ripple effect of monk mode. David realized that his commitment to monk mode didn't just benefit him, it had a ripple effect on those around him. His increased focus, discipline, and calmness positively impacted his relationships, his work, and his community. People noticed the changes in David, and many were inspired to make changes in their own lives. David's time in monk mode transformed him. He had become more focused, disciplined, and self-aware. He had achieved many of the goals he set out for, but more importantly, he had discovered a way of living that brought him peace, purpose, and fulfillment. But monk mode wasn't something David would complete. It was a lifelong journey. He knew that the principles of monk mode focus, discipline, self-mastery, and simplicity would continue to guide him throughout his life. As David reflected on his journey, he realized that monk mode was more than just a period of intense focus. It was a mindset, a philosophy, and a way of life. By embracing the principles of monk mode, David had unlocked a version of himself that was capable of achieving great things, not just for himself, but for others as well. David's journey into monk mode shows us that anyone can step into this powerful state of focus and discipline. The tools are already within you. All it takes is a commitment to start. Whether you're looking to excel in your career, improve your health, or find peace amidst the chaos of life, monk mode can help you get there. So now it's your turn. Take the first step today. Define your vision, eliminate distractions, and cultivate the habits that will lead you toward your highest potential. Remember, monk mode isn't just a phase, it's a way of living. If you're ready to take control of your life and unlock your true potential, start your journey into monk mode now. Your future self will thank you. Are you ready to enter monk mode? The time is now, let's begin. Monk mode is a journey that requires dedication, patience, and self-discipline. But the rewards are immeasurable. As you embark on this path, remember that the process itself is the reward. Through silence, focus, and intention, you can create a life of purpose, peace, and impact. Keep going and embrace the monk within you.